Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at the whiskies and bourbons to hunt for in the month of March. Run the video. All right then, folks, thank you for joining us for another new and exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove. We have the list of the whiskies that are going to be available this month to hunt for, to look for, whatever it is that you like to say, whiskies that are going to be coming out in the month of March. If you haven't seen the month of February or even January, definitely go back and watch those two videos, because there's definitely still pertinent bottles there that take a little longer maybe to come out than what we originally anticipated. And if you don't already know, we are doing a 10,000 subscriber giveaway. As soon as we hit 10,000 subscribers, we will be doing a live stream. We will be giving away 6 bottles. This is the first bottle to be announced. This is Old Rip Pappy Van Winkle. We also have one more bottle that we're going to be announcing today at the end of the video as we smash through 8,000 subscribers, and then we'll do another bottle announcement every 500. If you want to be with a chance to win these bottles, go down below after the video and go into the description and click the link where it says the free raffle giveaway, submit your ticket, and also you have to be a subscriber. We will check when we run the numbers at the end, and then you're in the draw. You don't need to be there for the live stream. You're automatically in the draw there, and why not? You know, it's an Old Rip Van Winkle. So with that being said, bottle number 1 on today's list in terms of the whiskies to look out for, that is Heaven Hill Heritage Collection. This is their 19-year wheat whiskey, coming in at 50% ABV or 100 proof. This is usually a bottle that you're going to see at the distillery there in Kentucky, but the Heritage Collection does make its way around nationally. Sometimes you'll see them on lotteries, and they are definitely more harder to find. So the wheat whiskey, so there's a big difference between wheat whiskey and wheated bourbon. I say a big difference, it's not that big. So a wheated whiskey has to have 51% of the mash bill make up wheat. With a wheated bourbon, 51% of the mash bill has to be corn, and then the second biggest ingredient needs to be wheat. So this is a wheat whiskey, so it's going to be 51% corn, so barely legal wheat whiskey. 51% wheat, sorry, not 51% corn. So it's barely legal wheat whiskey. 37% corn, and then 12% malted barley. So this is the part of the Heritage Collection, so it's going to come with a heavier price tag. So the MSRP on this is going to be $300. So last year when I was in Kentucky, I picked up the Heaven Hill Heritage Collection 18, and it was also $300. So the needle hasn't moved that much. Well, not anything in the last few months. So I would say around about a year that price hasn't gone up, which is nice to see, because $300 is already quite expensive. So if you like the Heaven Hill Heritage Collection, the 19-year wheat whiskey might be a bottle for you. And this isn't going to be the last time we'll see this mash bill on today's episode. Bottle number 2, and that is going to be a new release from the Green River Distillery. So Green River is coming out with a single barrel wheated bourbon at barrel strength. So they've already done some iterations, and they played around with some of these terms already, like the single barrel, like the full proof, and the wheated bourbon. However, they are doing a single barrel wheated bourbon barrel strength. There's only going to be 100 barrels going around nationwide, so roughly, you know, around 2 per state. That's probably not going to happen like that, but hopefully your state can get one. So maybe reach out to Green River and see if they can put you in touch with some of the distributors, so you know if the barrels come into your state. This is going to be roughly around 110 to 130 proof. There'll be some variation there because it is a single barrel. And then it is going to be 70% corn, 21% wheat, and then 9% malted barley, because it is a wheated bourbon. You get at least that 51% corn with the 70% corn. And then the next biggest ingredient is the 21% rye on this. So why I like this bottle so much, obviously I haven't tried it. I've tried the regular wheated bourbon from Green River. I thought that was okay. It was a $30 bottle. However, this is going to be $60 for a full-proof single barrel wheated bourbon. I can get excited about that. Hopefully it doesn't get marked up, because there's not going to be that much distribution. 100 barrels isn't a great amount, all things considered. So we're hoping that our price tag stays around $60. However, if it goes up above that, that's whiskey these days, right? So yeah, reach out to Green River, reach out to the distributor, see if one is coming to your state. I'm trying to see if one's coming to Colorado. I know Argonaut is maybe trying to get one as well. Next up on this list, and moving from Kentucky and going all the way over to Virginia, And that is because A. Smith Bowman, which is the Bowman distillery in Virginia, are releasing a batch 4 of their cask strength annual release. So at the time of this video, they just finished off their lottery. I was going to announce it on this video, but the lottery, if you put your ticket in to get this bottle, you'd have to go to the distillery in person to pick it up, and you couldn't do any proxies or anything. So that might be easy for people who live in and around Virginia. However, for me in Colorado, it doesn't make too much sense to fly all the way out there to pick up a $100 bottle of whiskey. However, that being said, this year what we did see with A. Smith Bowman is that the cask strengths made their way around the US quite a lot, actually. So a lot of pictures of people finding them at like Safeways and Kroger's around the country, specifically California. Not many came to Colorado, but it's still pretty good to see the volume increasing with these. So this year's isn't going to be hazmat. It's going to be coming in a shade under that at 139.7 proof or 69.85% ABV. So this distillery is owned by Sazerac. They get the distillate from Buffalo Trace, bring it over to Virginia, redistill it, and then age it there. So this is going to be Buffalo Trace's high wine distilled mash bill. So this isn't something that they're using for other products that I'm aware of. This is like a specific whiskey other specific distillate that they're making for the Bowman distillery. And a high wine mash bill, which is probably makes a little bit more sense, why a lot of these cask strengths are always coming up closer to hazmat, because the high wine mash bills usually run right up around there. So this is going to be, like I said, aged in Virginia, but on pallets. What does that mean? So it's in bourbon barrels or whiskey barrels. And if you've ever gone to like a brewery and saw like 2 different barrels sitting on top of a pallet and then another pallet, that's just how they have their rick houses out there. It kind of maybe gives me more of like a warehouse feel than maybe like an actual rick house, but I've never been there, so that would be pretty cool to check out to see kind of the structure that they have in place. How much will you pay for this if you can find it for the batch for? $99.99, which is an excellent price for what you're getting in today's market. However, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find, but I suspect the batch 4 will be more findable than any of the other batches so far, like the batch 3 was, unlike the batch 2. So I'm excited about that. A lot of people were raving about the batch 3 last year. I have never been in a position for me to try it. Maybe this year is the year. Then moving back to Kentucky, we have a new release from the Heaven Hill Distillery. Do you remember earlier on when I said we haven't used the last of that wheat mash bill with the Heritage Wheat Collection? Well, that is because Bernheim are back with the A225 barrel proof release. So Bernheim is an older distillery in the town of Bernheim by the Bernheim National Forest, but it's owned by Heaven Hill, which is why they're able to pull barrels for the Heritage Collection. But the Bernheim batch A225 is the first release of this year. They do 2 annual releases, so one is A batch, one is B batch. But what does all the numbers and letters mean? Well, A equals the first release of the year. So if it was the second release, it would say B. And then the 2 is the month of the release, so around February. And then 25 is the year, so A225. Makes a lot more sense like that. And like I said, the mash bill is the 51% wheat, 37% corn, and then 12% malted barley, exactly the same as the Heritage Collection. This, however, unlike that, which is aged for 19 years, this is going to be aged for around 7 to 9 years. And like I said, released twice a year. Proof is going to be 125.6 proof or 62.8% ABV. And that is really noteworthy, and I'll tell you why. So since the Bernheim barrel proofs have been released, this one is the highest ABV or proof since its inception. So far to date, there hasn't been one that has been this high in ABV and proof. So all you wheated whiskey fans out there, all you Heaven Hill fans out there, this might be a bottle that you really want to get because we haven't had this ABV yet on this. And I know sometimes when we have like Elijah Craig's Larcenies, when they kick up in ABV, folks tend to like to keep them a little bit more because the higher ABV might appeal to the masses a little bit. So this gives you a little bit of a taste for the Heritage Collection, but a snippet of the price. This is going to be running around $65 to $75. I wasn't able to see if there was a price increase from last year, so I'm hoping it still sits within that price. I haven't bought one for a little while. I've only ever bought one. I wasn't overly impressed with that one. But I think I might pick this one up. I think it's been a year and a half or so and enough time that I can wait and have this again and see at what level we've had, because the Bernheim aged 7 years, just the regular small batch, I really like that one. Some of the flavor profiles didn't transfer over to the barrel proof that I have, so I'm hoping this might be the one. Next up, we have a new release from the Peerless distillery, Peerless in Louisville, Kentucky, and that is because they are back and they are putting out a toasted rye. I like toasted ryes. I really like the kind of feeling behind them. You have this spicier whiskey and you kind of maybe mellow it out with some sweeter notes, and usually it can create some really fun stuff. Jack Daniels is some of the best people have been able to do that. This is going to be coming in at 53.5% ABV or 107 proof. The age on this is undisclosed. A lot of what Peerless do, they don't put out a lot of information about it, but what I can tell you is that it is distilled and then aged in a number 3 charred New American oak barrel, and then the second barrel is a lightly toasted barrel, which adds a little bit more complexity of what Peerless says. So we know just by definition, as it is a rye, it has to have at least 51% rye in the mash bill. That's basically all I have for you on the mash bill on this one. Again, Peerless keeping the cards quite close to their chest. So how much is this going to cost you? So I've seen the double oaked, like the toasted, if you like, or the double barrel bourbons, and they're around $100 or so. This is going to be about 120, which kind of falls right in line with that. This is a little much for like a toasted rye. I know the ABV and proof is like a little higher than the Heaven Hill toasted rye, which is around $60 or so, but Peerless generally sit around this price category. I haven't had, I don't think, any Peerless stuff, maybe the small batch bourbon. So, $120 is a bit of an outlay, at your first bottle from this company or from this distillery. But, if you're a Peerless fan out there, you might really like this stuff. So for $120, that might be a little bit of a snippet for you. So I think for this month, we won't be doing a part 2. Sometimes we do a part 2. There's not too much coming out this month. We've already talked a lot about some really exciting bottles in February. So it becomes that time. So we are doing the Pappy Van Winkle 10K subscriber giveaway. We are going to be announcing 4 more bottles after today's video, every 500 subscribers that we hit. So what bottle are we going to be adding to the lottery? And this is going to be a favorite bottle of mine, and it should come to not much of a surprise for a lot of you subscribers out there. We will be adding the Wild Turkey Rare Breed non-chill filtered international exclusive bottle. So this is going to be a 1 litre bottle, and this isn't the regular Rare Breed. This is the non-chill filtered one. This is the whiskey that was in my top 5 whiskeys last year. I think it came 3rd. This is a great whiskey. It comes in at the same ABV as regular Wild Turkey Rare Breed, 58.4% ABV. And like I said, this is a 1 litre bottle, and it is a very good bottle indeed. So far we have these 2 awesome bottles. We'll be adding 4 more to this list. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because you have to when you put your ticket in for this. Go down below after this video and get that submission in, and also go up to the top and hit that bell icon, so anytime we announce a new bottle, you are clued in and you know exactly where we are when we get closer to the 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much everybody for your loyalty and support throughout these last few years. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get these great whiskeys in people's hands shortly. With that being said, as we drink through the world's whiskeys 1 glass at a time, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.